Hi guys, welcome to Fragment Friday. I am going to go ahead and read some from Voluntary Madness by Norah Vincent. I am going to start on page 112 because that's the page I'm on, and she is just admitting herself into an asylum called St. Luke's. She already went to Bedlam, Meriwether, and that was like the poor people, the homeless people, stuff like that. Mostly people that had psychosis, schizophrenia, stuff like that. So now she is admitting herself into St. Luke's, and she has battled with depression for a long time, and she just actually got herself off of meds. And she weaned herself off of them, and so now she's fallen back into depression. So even though she's going into St. Luke's to research it, she's also going in to get help because now she needs it. So there was no need to pretend this time around. I cried in earnest in the admission interview. And why? Because that is another thing that happens when I stop the meds. I cry a lot. Big jags of tears over things like Oprah, which was what I was watching on a 52-inch plasma TV, waiting in the lobby of yet another hospital. The intrepid reporter undercover. I want someone to take me in. I want to pretend that I am doing my job, but I belong here. I am a pitch-perfect silent screamer, a forlorn lump. Oprah. And I was crying in this tiny Catholic hospital. Facility, really. More like a clinic, a specialty clinic for addicts and lunatics, plunked down there in the middle of the plains, where the freight trains passed through town, outside the rain-bespeckled windows, moaning like whales under the broad gray sky. I listened as I sat. Sometimes I walked to the window and looked, saw the red signal lights flashing on the gantries, the line of waiting cars with their echoing rows of red taillights blurring in the downpour. In the corner of the room next to the window, there was a life-size gilded statue of the clinic's presiding St. Luke, standing over the four rough upholstered armchairs, one of which I was occupying. There was a Fisher-Price PlayStation at my feet, with ramps and tracks and obedient balls, a knee-high table and chairs, a box of toys half scattered in the corner. They treated children here, too. What a place, I thought. What a place. So kind, so homey, carpeted and warm, quiet. There was only the TV, the volume low, and then only the sound of fingers softly typing, phones mutely ringing, genteelly being answered. It was late Friday afternoon. I had come for an appointment I had made by phone earlier in the week. I had called in, supposed distress, said I was on the road, about 100 miles out of town, but I really made the call on my cell phone, safe at home in New York. Right. Safe. As soon as I got the appointment, the so-called needs assessment appointment, I booked a flight. The flight had been due to arrive more than an hour before the appointment. This, I thought, would give me plenty of time to take a taxi, even if the flight was late. It wasn't, and the airport was a joke. 2 gates and 2 baggage carousels, like something on a Caribbean island. It had never seen a crowd. I had to call for a taxi, and the one cop on duty at the curb knew all the drivers by name. It took 10 minutes to get from the airport to downtown. It cost $13, including tip. So there I was, early, flipping through magazines, waiting alone in the lobby. A business reply mail card fell out of Bon Appetit. Bon Appetit. On it, someone had repeatedly scrawled the word bored in big letters. Other cards that fell out of other magazines, Red Book, AARP, Popular Science, had more messages embedded. Always the same bored, I'm bored, or boring. A good joke, and for me, an unexpected smile I was thankful for. Solidarity left behind. Been there, my friend. I have so been there. The admitting staff was not pressed. Behind the long bulwark desk, with its glassed-in hutches and computer nooks, impeccably dusted, veneered, and generic as a floor display, 2 menopausal moms floated at their workstations, their fat fingers fluttering papers. They multitasked smoothly, smiled patiently like women who had spent years darning mittens and cutting the crust off sandwiches. They watched snatches of Oprah, admitted the odd visitor, touched up a database, caught the phone on the second ring. This was restful. It calmed the fear, the extra added fear, even though I was convulsed by fear already, of having flown into a far-flung place to check myself into the bin. Yes, this was all of my own doing, of course, so whatever happened would be my own fault, perhaps even deserved. And yet, it was not at all bad. Not all bad. I felt strangely young, sitting there, and new to the big world, guided by these ladies, as if this were take your daughter to work day instead of take yourself to the psych ward. The harbingers of good care in the clinic above were in the furniture and the carpeting downstairs. The carpet was so impressive, so calming, sage green, a luxury bespeaking control in the clientele. It meant they didn't expect anyone to vomit or shit himself or otherwise besmirch the premises. Effort had been made, even in the 3 yellow gerbia daisies in a pot on the side table in the small consulting room, where they asked me to wait for the needs assessment counselor. There were color photographs on the walls, the trunks of tall oaks growing clustered in luxurious stretches of green grass, with shafts of mystical sunlight beaming through them. There was a box of tissues on the coffee table, thoughtfully placed close to hand, an accoutrement of admission. Admission of instability, depression, suicidal urge, and admission to the hospital for same. Like a ticket in my pocket, admit one. I waited in the room and looked at the pictures and the tissues, and allowed myself to be soothed by them a little, until the counselor came in. The counselor, the girl, she was a girl to me, no older than 25, or at least she had the sprightly effect of that age, and the uncreased eyes, and the baby-fatted mode of inquiry, and the eider-down belief in what she did. The girl was very kind. She had not yet felt the bludgeon of experience. She sat with her legs crossed at the knee, a clipboard in her lap, and on her feet one bouncy foot dangling over the other, a pair of what I would call Mary Janes if you could hike in Mary Janes. Sassy schoolgirl upper, bumper toe, gripper sole. I liked her for those. They made me trust her. And so a tear rolled out of my eye. I was seized unaccountably by Rue. I was ashamed, awed by the unspoiled attention of a girl assessing my needs, a girl who wrote down my answers so carefully in slow, looping script. She seemed somehow outsized in her kindness, almost allegorical, the figure of help in the Pilgrim's Regress. And I was in retrograde motion for sure, slipping out of the light, the line of waning day, making its way across my face and leaving me in shadow, like a planet turning from the sun. She saw this and understood. It was not beyond her, though she herself had never known that kind of orbit. She asked what I was doing in that town, because it is not a destination, barely a stopover, and even to the locals it was the middle of nowhere. I told her I had been hitchhiking across the country from New York, fleeing an unmanageable life. When I got here, I said, I knew I was in trouble. My voice caught in the lie. She noted this with her eyes, then noted it down with a pen. She was filling out a form, several forms, back and forth, the first of many. They were positively German about this. Her forms, along with the others completed by the doc, the nurse, the social worker, and me, would end up in a 3-ring binder with my name on it. And next to my name, the initials MI. What does MI stand for? I would ask. Mental illness. Ah, I see. The other labels were CD for chemical dependency and DD for dual diagnosis, which meant that you were a loon and you did drugs. Technically, that was me, DD. My file would say history of cannabis dependence, but not, thankfully, unhealthy preoccupation with bowel movements or mean drunk. It would also say, notably, patient is homosexual. I'm going to go ahead and stop there. So it talks about her admitting herself into these different hospitals, and just basically what happens to her there. Like you see the intake process and just things of that sort. So, all right, I will talk to you guys later.